Hello everybody, this is Southern Hellenic. Welcome. Oh man. Before I started this video, I was coughing real bad. No, I don't have COVID. I have been blessed and spared from that disease, from that condition, from that experience. So I'm very blessed that I don't have to worry about that. But you know, it's winter time, and or it's going to be winter time, and you know, you just gotta go with the flow, so to speak. All right. So, today marks two things. One, my birthday, and two, it has been 17 years since I discovered Hellenism. And for those people that have recently subscribed to my channel or has been subscribers to my channels for the last, I think, 3 or 4 months, I'll probably end up repeating this same thing every year. So please be aware that it'll probably end up being the same video every year. That is so that people can hear it without having to search through a number of videos that I will produce in one single year and everything. So, so on a lot of forums and groups, I talk about my path or the things that led up to where I'm at now. And so, so here's one of them. So I started to look into Hellenism about, I'm going to be like 17 and a half years ago. And the reason for this was that my mother had told me that that she did not want me to be practicing Wicca and witchcraft. And when she had told me this, I was blown away because, you know, a couple months prior she had bought me all these books on Wicca and on witchcraft, and she was like on her, you know, she was, you know, sitting down on the floor, which is shocking. It is shocking to know that your 40-some-year-old mother was sitting down on the floor of a bookstore, with how everything turned out later on down the road. It's kind of hard, I think it's kind of hard for people to realize that at one time she was able to sit down on the floor and be able to get up, which shows pretty much that way too much time passed. So I basically asked her, you know, why didn't you tell me you did not want me to practice Wicca? And she was like, well, because you wouldn't have listened, which was true. I wouldn't have listened to her, especially when you're at the age of 18 and you're like, okay, I'm an adult now, I can make my own decisions and all that type of stuff. So so I started looking, and I was like, okay, Mom doesn't want me to be practicing this, and everything, so what should I do? And so either my mother had gone out, or she was asleep, one of the two. And she had a computer on her dresser, and her room was actually the largest in the apartment. It was in essence, it was the master bedroom, or the head honcho bedroom. And so what ended up happening was either she had gone out for the day or she was asleep. And I started to Google, and this is now, you understand something about Google back in the early 2000s. It wasn't as big as it is now. there was a lot of stuff on Google, but not as much as is now. A lot of search parameters, didn't hit like 20 million or something like that. There really wasn't a lot of stuff going on in Google, at least from my own personal experience. So I typed in the one pantheon that I had fallen in love with when I was way younger, when I was like 6 or 7, and that was the Egyptian. So I typed in Egyptian paganism, because if I could practice Wicca, I'll practice something else. And immediately I saw the word Chemeticism. And so I'm like, okay. So I clicked that word, and it said that it is a Reconstructionist religion. And there was photos of like people's shrines and all that type of stuff, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. The word that really struck me was Reconstructionist. Reconstructionist. And I'm like, wait a minute, are you telling me that there are people out there that are actually reconstructing these ancient religions? So I highlighted the word Reconstructionist, and I double clicked, and a new window opened up, and there was a lot of articles and stuff like that. And of course, the top one, as it always is Wikipedia. So I clicked it, and it had a little bitty list. The list has kind of grown, but it was a little bitty list of known Reconstructionist religions. And so I saw the word Hellenic. So I clicked it, and it talked a little bit about the religion of Hellenismos. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But I was kind of like, I love the Greek gods. I fell in love with the cartoon Hercules. My mother told me about, when she was a little girl growing up, there used to be a television show called Hercules. And I'm like, I'm really not sure if this is something I want to do. I really want to honor the Egyptian gods. So I put that in the back of my mind, and I went and I decided, I'm going to set up an Egyptian altar and start venerating the Egyptian gods, and I will be able to finally practice a religion that I enjoy doing. And this was around the time that YouTube got started. And YouTube, you could only do, not around the time YouTube got started. This must have been maybe about, I don't know, a year or something like that after YouTube got started. I'm not exactly sure how long it was. But you could only do, at the time, you could only do 10-minute videos. I originally found out that when they got started, you could do only videos up to 5 minutes, which really did not help a lot of people that were trying to establish themselves in the YouTube community that was just starting to form. So what ended up happening was I ended up going back to the word Hellenismos. Have you noticed that most of my videos have me drinking Gatorade? I have no idea why, but it's good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to find out what exactly is this community that I'm just like. Okay, so I discovered the Kemetic community, which they are, I should say it, they're a little stuffy. They are. I have not been on any Kemetic forum in, I think, 10 years or something like that. So, so I was just, just kind of like looking around and stuff like that. And then I came upon a forum by a author called Timothy J. Alexander. And when I discovered it, I was like, okay, great. So I signed up for it because I wanted to hear, I wanted to talk to people in the Hellenic community. And these people looked like they were an okay batch of people. So I went and I signed up, and I was just lurking. I had gotten approved. I was just lurking around, and I was just, reading people's posts. And there was a person, I don't remember their name, that was going into the military that wanted to bring his gods with him, and they recommended, laminating some pictures, which I know some people be like, wow, wow, you are old if you're talking about lamination. And to put them on a keychain and to put them inside your bag and take them with you. I don't know how that turned out. So I am just like reading this, and I decide to jump in on some conversations. And once you jump in on a conversation, like I did they had an intro thread, so you introduce yourself, and I basically said I was clueless about everything, which they didn't mind. They didn't mind. So I found out that he wrote a book. He actually wrote 3 books. Hellenismos Today, Beginner's Guide to Hellenismos, and another book. He has not been active at all in the Hellenic community. In fact, somebody had wrote that he had actually left the Hellenic community, which is kind of sad. So as time progressed on, he stopped paying his payments, and the domain ended up being sold to another Hellenic group that I did also join as well, and I have not been a member of that group in a very long time, because first of all, I lost the name of the group, and therefore I am like, okay. I'm pretty sure I can Google the word Hellenic Forum and I might find it. I don't know. So, one of the things people have to understand is I did not have any Greek statues. In fact, my mother had absolutely no clue that I was even involved in Hellenism. It was only later on down the road that I started to have statues of the gods or had pictures of the gods that she realized, oh, okay, my daughter is venerating, the deities that I saw when I was younger. It didn't mean that she liked it. In fact, every time I would bring a statue in, she'd be like, you really do need to get rid of that. And everything, but I stuck to my guns and everything. But also, the really weird thing was that as time progressed on, I sort of fell into this I'm going to read my Greek books. I'm going to, silently venerate the gods. I remember one time, just to keep my mother happy, I put away my Greek altar. But what I did was I went outside and I poured out libations to the gods when she was asleep, and that was one of the ways that I kept my practice going on. So, with me being an independent Hellenic, and I've been doing videos, I've been independent Hellenic for this long and everything, I have found that honoring the Greek gods have become a lot easier when you don't have that figure over you. So, so here's to 17 years of honoring the Greek gods, even if it wasn't as, even if it wasn't as what's that word I'm looking for? Whatever, as others may have been able to do it. But but yeah. So I hope you guys have a really great day. Wish me happy birthday on Facebook. Yeah. So until next time, may be happy, healthy, most importantly be safe, and hail to the gods. Bye.